The One Piece TCG is at war. We're talking players, collectors, and scalpers. But what if I told you we actually all need each other? Welcome back to Treasure Theory, guys. Today, we're going to be talking about the situation that is going on in the One Piece TCG. We're going to really look at a couple of things here. We're going to cover a couple of bases, but most importantly, we're going to enjoy this crispy new video. I got a brand new webcam, got a brand new light, so I'm not going to look like I'm running on 14 frames a second with like 10 pixels. So that's thankfully awesome. But no, seriously, guys, I really want to put the spotlight on the drama and the conflict that's going on with the One Piece TCG between the players, collectors, and the scalpers. And I really just want to talk about the bigger picture, what's really going on here. And, you know, feel free to disagree with my take, and I would love to hear your take in the comments below. But, you know, guys, I would just kind of like to share what I think is going on here. But before we get into it, guys, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We are growing super fast. We are almost at 4,500 subscribers. So don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And also, guys, if you want to get your cards securely, I am now sponsored by cardtrader.com. Use my code Treasure Theory down there. Click the link, sign up, get 5% off your first order, and hey, get your cards securely. All right, guys, without any further ado, let's get into it. So guys, last video, we talked about this whole Gengar Nami situation, and I got a surprising number of conflicting comments in the video. A lot of people were obviously against what was going on with the scalpers from Pokemon coming over trying to manipulate the price, but then I had people who were attacking me saying that my take is terrible, saying that you don't need to watch One Piece and stuff like there was a lot of really, I personally think a lot of the people who were hating on me were the scalpers who were just getting very defensive. I was getting some very heated responses. And look, listen, I'm sorry that video offended you, and you know, we as the One Piece community welcome all newcomers. But seriously, what is wrong with saying get to know the show a bit, get to know the anime a bit, the manga? Who goes into a community? Why would I get into Pokemon if I didn't know anything about Pokemon? You know, that's just blatant scalper activity. And if that's what you're doing, come on, you're really not defending yourself very well here. But anyways, very interesting situation that was going on, and it had me thinking about our own community here at home. You know, the One Piece TCG, it's this beautiful community. This card game is growing exponentially. You know, our Lord and Savior, the great Timmy himself, even said in one of his latest videos that the One Piece TCG is becoming like a Goliath, and he really thinks it's going to grow. And I'm talking about Rudy, if you know what I'm talking about, Alpha Investments. But I really just wanted to make a video today where we can just really take a look at what's going on here, and just kind of have a philosophical conversation about the One Piece TCG. So obviously there are scalpers who are coming into the card game now, who are influencing the prices, as we've seen here with the Gengar Nami, you know, with the 500% drop up. We've also got treasure rare cards, which are really interesting cards. They seem to be language based, you know, French, English, you know, Japanese, like supposedly different, you know, countries with different languages have different type of treasure rare cards, and they're just very hard to come by. We're talking like one per case maybe, but you know, like we can see here, we've got this Luffy card. I actually pulled this Luffy card and had no idea it was a treasure rare. This was the first treasure rare I ever got, and it was 200. It's gone up 250% in the last 3 months. Same with the treasure rare Sanji card here. I recently picked this up too. It is now going up in price, but you know, that's besides the point. But let's talk about the drama that's ensuing here. So we've got a lot of people who play the game. They're just here to play the game. They don't care about this crap. Chances are they don't even watch this channel, and if they do, they probably hate me. But, you know, they just want to play the game. And you know what? Valid. When I first got in the One Piece TCG, it was not even a thought to collect or to invest and stuff like that. Obviously, I was going to collect, but, you know, I played a couple of tournaments. I'm not that great, but, you know, I got to meet the community locally and see what it was like. And listen, it's like any other card game. It has its own folks. There's its own like dynamics and stuff like that, and it's what makes any card game interesting. You need its community. But so many people from the player base, you know, rag on channels like mine or people who talk about investing, saying like, you ruined this, you're ruining the card game, you're bringing in the scalpers. But guys, you know, there's an interesting thought I want to throw your way when it comes to the success of a card game, because the uncomfortable truth is, if there's no investors, right, there's no hype, there's no liquidity, the product dies. But let's just kind of do a hypothetical. Imagine there was only players in this game. No one cared about collecting. No one cared about investing. Sure, you could argue that, well, people are going to enjoy the game and blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, without outside influences and interests, it would suppress the card game itself. Now, players might say, who cares, right? But in order for a product to be successful, it needs to really have different kind of factors that are influencing the card game itself. Now, obviously, One Piece is huge, but listen, it's so big, okay, that it couldn't just be only players. So we need to accept the fact that the One Piece TCG is massive, and the IP is massive, and whether you like it or not, people from outside who maybe just want to collect cards, just like Pokemon, because there's a lot of people who don't play Pokemon, they just collect, want to come into the space. Now, cool, okay, whatever, all right? It's just a fact. You want to play the game, that's totally cool. People who don't want to play the game, that should be totally cool as well. Now we talk about collectors. If there are no collectors in this card game, there's no chase cards. There's no concept of caring about chase cards. You know, the market dries up. These prices mean nothing. Your card, although cool, means really nothing. There's no excitability with these super rare cards. And listen, you know, again, players might say, who cares, right? But guys, like, if you want the card game to do well, you can't just be like, you know, fuck every other community, I don't care, like, you either play the game or fuck you. And listen, that's not how this works, right? Like, we have multiple communities who come in to the TCG who want to either play it or collect it. I'm more of a collector, okay? You might think I'm just this big investor dude. I'm more of a collector guy. I'm a huge One Piece fan. But like, guys, without collectors, without investors, the truth is there's just going to be no hype around the card game. Look what's going on with Digimon. Digimon, you would think, is a huge IP. I mean, it is a pretty big IP. I mean, I grew up watching Digimon. But guys, like, the Digimon card game is struggling, okay? It's got a very small player base, just like Dragon Ball Z, guys. I mean, the Dragon Ball Z fusion cards, or the Dragon Ball whatever, I've been dabbling with them. I've been buying them left, right, and center. And, you know, it's not really exploding in popularity. Why is that? Because there's just not that much hype around it. We've got people who were diehard fans of Digimon and Dragon Ball Z, but like, the player base is just not that big, the collector base is just not that big, and no one really talks about it. And without hype, okay, there's really just no attention to a card game, which is like a really big common thing that happens to a lot of card games. Look at MetaZoo. Who the hell knows what MetaZoo is, okay? There's like some gingerbread card game I've been seeing lately in card stores. I don't know what the hell that is. But we got One Piece. One Piece is a huge community. One Piece is a huge IP. So, you know, we've just got a lot of forces that are coming into this card game. So, again, without investors, there's no hype, there's no liquidity. Without collectors, there's no chase, there's no excitability. And without players, there's no card game, okay? We all need to come together and accept that we have to live with each other. And yes, sometimes it goes too far. Sometimes scalpers are just completely taking over everything. Sometimes players are just being super annoying and being super selfish and not caring about the collectors. And then you've got collectors who are in the middle of all of it, who they don't really want to play the card game, but they also don't like what scalpers are doing. Like, guys, we as an ecosystem need to accept each other. And I'm not calling investors scalpers, because scalpers are obviously like the bad actors coming in here. And I'm not saying we need scalpers, but it is unfortunately a side effect of capitalism, I guess, and markets and all that sort of stuff. But guys, all of this is good for the long term of One Piece, okay? This is good for the long term of the card game. Why? Well, because it's keeping it alive. It's keeping the hype up. It's making people hear more about One Piece. Yeah, sure, it does suck. And listen, Pokemon is definitely its own hellhole, okay? And you know, I've been dabbling a little more in Pokemon. It's rough out there, okay? But unfortunately, there's nothing we can truly do about this. Things will ebb and flow. The markets will go up and down. And, you know, we just have to ride that wave. And also, I just want to point out, like, even if you're this far in the video and you're like, okay, Jordan, you know what? You're wrong. This is stupid. I don't agree with you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what I think. And that's kind of what I'm trying to get out there. Like, letting your emotions control how you see things, it never really works out. And, you know, if you're a very passionate player of the game, I respect you, I really do. And let's not forget that the player base alone have their own category of cards that you can only get through winning tournaments, which is already super awesome. And I find that I find Bandai has been very accommodating when it comes to the collector base and the player base. I find it's been great. But whether you like the way this is going or not, it doesn't matter. The market will do what the market does. And unfortunately, that is just something we all have to live with. And there will be times that the market goes up and it goes down, and treasure rares are bought up and then they crash. Manga cards are going up, treasure cups are going up, they're going down. I mean, this is just capitalism, guys. This is just how it all works. Try going in actual investments like the S&P or crypto or like, oh my God. If you are somebody who wants to be financially literate and you actually step into that world, oh my God, what a wake-up call that's going to be. Because although the One Piece TCG, I would argue, is not exactly something you should be investing a ton of money into just in terms of like your entire net worth. And yes, I'm saying that. You should not be investing all your entire net worth into a card game. That's ridiculous. Unless you're some sort of card store or something or make a company, it just doesn't make any sense. Should you have a little bit of allocation in here? Sure, why not? Diversity is powerful. But the One Piece TCG, when you think about it, is no different from the S&P and crypto when it comes to volatility, when it comes to what's going to do well, what's not going to do well. And what I'm trying to say is we don't know what's going to do well. Will the Gear 5 Luffy ultimately be the top chase card in the end? Who knows? You know, spoiler, this is spoiler. I'm going to say something that's spoiler if you're not caught up, okay? But will the Gold Roger manga card be snubbed out by a Zebek manga card? I think it probably will, especially since we've seen God Valley. There could be a Garp manga card, a young Garp. There could be so many really cool things they could throw in there, like a young Edward Newgate, you know, a young Big Mom, a young Kaido. We don't even have manga cards of those guys yet. So, like, there's just so many interesting factors that could come into play that could just completely change the dynamic of the market. But guys, just so I'm not, like, going on a tangent here, I really think that we all need to accept the fact that there will be ebbs and flows. There will be influences in a market that we don't really enjoy, and sometimes we will. But regardless on how we feel, the market will do what the market does, and the sooner you can accept that and strategize around that, the better for all of us. Because quite frankly, when I was getting really deep into the One Piece card game and started throwing a little bit of money at some mangas, and I have 4, and I'm glad I did it because now they're worth double or triple the price I paid. You know, we can start getting ahead of certain things we're seeing. Like, if you're somebody who thinks that the treasure rares are worth investing in, maybe you should do it soon, or maybe you should have done it a few months ago. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But factors will come in play. Manipulation will come in play. But guys, at the end of the day, it creates conversation. It creates community. Even if we don't like scalpers, their influence does penetrate the community. It does make people have conversations. And overall, I do think that these forces will be good for the One Piece TCG long term. Now, if you disagree with me, totally fine. I totally get it. It's just my opinion at the end of the day. But let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are. And I'll end the video on this, okay? Players give the One Piece TCG purpose, okay? Collectors give it meaning. And investors give it momentum. The truth is, we might not all like each other, but we absolutely need each other. And that's why the One Piece TCG works. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you did like this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more great content. A video should pop up on the screen. Be sure to click it, and I will see you over there.